Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I want to talk about look at me monster moves. All right, okay. So we are incredibly challenged as dungeon masters to make and inhabit realistic villains, and this could be really hard, right? Let's just get top three Dungeons and Dragons villains, right? I would put them at Acererak, Asmodeus, and Vecna. Okay, those are your big dogs right now, right? Those are the ones who are throwing it down. And I gotta say, lady villains in Dungeons and Dragons, you also need to step it up. Lolth, you used to have a pretty good reputation, but now people aren't even sure if you even are the Drow's queen. All right. So basically, you have these three villains, and you need to bring them to life in a realistic way. You need to show real villainy, right? And the way we do this, especially with Dungeons and Dragons is always on the front lines of American politics, religion, and culture. It's one of the reasons why people are so excited about it. It's a reflection of our world, right? It helps us understand our IRL world better, and as we get better at understanding IRL, we get better at being dungeon masters. Okay. All right, so how do we understand this? Well, we just got a lesson on this in savage villainy in the real world, and that is look at me monster moves. All right, so Vladimir Putin's out there. He is absolutely murder. He's a murderer. He has ripped off his human mask and said, "Hey, I'm a murderous savage, and I'm going for the crown for that mustachioed villain of World War II. I want to be known as more evil than him." And the Russian people just have not been able to take the actions necessary to stop him, right? And he is representing them now, and they really need to step up and say, "Hey, you're out," right? But they just can't seem to get there. I don't think this war in Europe is the Russian people's war. I think it's Vladimir Putin's war, right? But it's on them to make sure that they can stop him. They continue to choose him every day as their leader, and that needs to stop. They need to stop choosing him every day, right? And say, "You out, buddy." Right? That's on them. They got to get it done, right? And so basically, Vladimir Putin's setting a new bar for modern villainy. He's like, "Hey, I'm just going to straight up murder Ukrainians and bury them in mass graves, and the world's going to sit back and watch." And I can't believe it. President Biden is just spinning up his cowardice and does nothing every single day. Should have 500,000 boots on the ground and up in there, take Moscow back and just hand it to Volodymyr Zelensky as a present, and the rest of Russia too, right? But he's not doing it, right? So Vladimir Putin's he's the main dog now when it comes to modern villainy, and he's just every day he's like, every single one of you remember I'm a murderous savage, right? Well, Kim Jong-un over in North Korea is like, "Oh, nobody cares about my low energy villainy anymore." So what does he do? He shoots a rocket. He shoots multiple missiles over Japan. And you know what that is? That's a look at me monster move. He's like, hey, I still matter. I'm still cruel to my people. I'm still doing terrible things I'm still a villain. I'm still a major villain. And everyone's like, "Are you?" And he's like, "Look at this," right? And then he shoots missiles over Japan. Let me tell you right now, any country in the world shoot missile over America, we would own it. The war would start on Friday. All their land would be ours on Monday. It'd be that simple, right? I don't know what's going on in Japan. I don't understand why they don't have boots in the ground on North Korea now. I don't get it. Japan, y'all's got to spine up, baby. We don't play that in America, right? People are like, "America spends too much for the military." Do we? We ain't had a boot on this ground, I think, since 1812, baby. It works, right? We get what we pay for, right? Ain't no... Yeah, I don't understand why Japan is allowed this. They should have boots on the ground in North Korea right now, in my humble opinion. But this is a look at me monster move, okay? So basically, all right, Vecna empties the second circle of hell, takes all the fiends, all the demons, all the devils, dumps them straight up into Neverwinter and says, "Slay every person you find who bears a blade." right? And he throws it down. Pure, murderous, savage villainy, exactly the way Vladimir Putin is doing right now, right? And then, at that point, where does that land? What do you get from it, right? Well, basically, Acererak is going to need to do something significant, right? He's going to need to go to salt marsh, take every kraken out of the sea, and bring them right to the edge of Waterdeep, right? And those tentacles are going to flow, and 100 people are going to be pulled into the ocean, right? And that's going to be his look at me monster move, right? That's what you see with Kim Jong-un right now. It's a look at me monster move, saying, hey, I'm still here, I'm still a villain. Come on, people, I still matter. You don't, right? Vladimir Putin's making your stuff look laughable, right? And so this is how we model Acererak and Asmodeus and Vecna. And the reality is we have to pay attention. To be a good dungeon master, you have to watch the news. And the reality is you can't think like Kim Jong-un. You can't think like Putin. You think you can, you cannot. Right? This is a real game, right? Like that's a game, right? Like just, hey, give me that crown from that mustachioed villain in World War II, right? And it shouldn't be, right? But it's where we at because we have coward leaders, right? People ain't going to put boots on the ground. Villainy going to roll out. That's the reality of it. And we need to bring that energy and it's a burden. Right? I don't want to think like a murderous savage. If you're going to run a good D&D game, you got to. If you're the dungeon master, all that's my humble opinion. I am eager to hear your humble opinion. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider subscribing. Have a wonderful millennium.